I am really, really excited to welcome Neil and Amber Spencer as our guest speakers today. I met Neil recently, just a month ago, when I went to visit his business out on the west side of Ephraim called Carter Furniture. And I asked him then if he'd be willing to come speak, and he said sure, and he signed up to come speak to you guys, so that's why they're here today. So Neil and Amber are the owners and operators of Carter Furniture, with pieces that are handcrafted in-house and shipped worldwide. One of their large customers is the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints that buys lots of their pieces for its temples. Neil also owns and operates an interior design service and a staffing company. He has a long history in private equity, which he'll talk a little bit more about today, I'm sure. He loves working hands-on with his teams, and he also loves to create value for his customers. Neil is a graduate of BYU Idaho and has an MBA from BYU Provo. Neil and Amber are the parents of 3 boys, and they currently live in Utah County, so they braved the storm to be with us here today. So please welcome Neil Spencer.
Hey, before we get going, I want to plug this business model competition. You guys are crazy not to try it. You have nothing to lose. When I was in college one time, I did one of these competitions, and I thought I was going on a good track with what I was doing, but I was found out the day before I was way far behind. So I pulled an all-nighter and was super proud of it, and then ended up winning some money. And when I was in college, I was like, money is great. I loved it. So just do it. Get in the business competitions. And even if you don't get anything, it's a great experience. So Russ already gave some of a background, but I want to tell you a little bit more. This is my family. My wife is right here. She is also an entrepreneur. We have been married 17 years this year. And it's our greatest joint venture is our family. We have 3 boys right here. We have 1 dog. We grew up in Washington State. We've been in Utah for 12 years. We have these 3 companies, which Russ talked about. Carter Furniture is one that I spend most of my time with. Our door design is what my wife spends most of her time with. And Ramp Staff is more of a passive business. I have another person that takes day-to-day on that company. So here's a little bit about Amber's career. I like to talk about her probably more than she likes talking about herself. She's a great public speaker, but I was like, hey, I want to hype you up. I'm your hype man. So that's what I get to do is share her experience. She graduated with a bachelor's degree, and then she started working at a corporate wellness center until we started having kids. And she decided that we decided that she was gonna stay home with our kids. And then at that time, we also moved to San Francisco. And so kind of pulled her away from her job. And during that time, she started her first business. And she ended up starting two companies, and then went back and earned a master's degree from the Academy of Art in San Francisco, which is one of the top design art schools in the world. And when being here in Utah, she worked for an architecture firm in Salt Lake for a little while, and now she started her own business. For me, I've been involved in starting over 10 companies. I've had 3 exits. I've raised millions of dollars throughout these companies that I've either worked for or owned. I got an MBA from BYU. I was in tech early in my career. So in my young 30s, I became a tech executive. I was vice president of 2 tech companies. I was hired to be a CEO of a tech company when I was 35, which we ended up exiting that business. And then with the guy that was the main owner of that business, and then another partner, we started a private equity company where we acquired 5 companies. At the time that I left that business, it was $100 million under contract, or businesses that we owned and managed, or that we had under contract to buy. And I had a very personal experience that was like, hey, this isn't the right path for me right now, even though we were starting to see a lot of success. And I wanted to go buy a furniture company. And so I went to go buy a furniture company, and then also bought what is Carter Furniture here in Ephraim. And Now I own that one, and I'm looking for another furniture company to buy to help join together with this business. And that's kind of where we landed. Carter Furniture, we build gorgeous furniture for residents, for commercial spaces. We do a lot for temples with the LDS Church. Here are some of the pieces that we've done recently. My wife and I also like traveling. Here's some pictures of us. We were able to go to Paris. This is a picture from us over in Morocco. And then we took our family down to Mexico where we went and built some stuff at an orphanage. We're not able to travel a lot, but when we are, it's some of the things that we've liked to do. I love Jesus, and I won't be talking about him a whole lot here, but that is something that's very passionate for me. And I've had the chance to serve as a bishop in our ward for the last couple of years. And I love doing that. So that's the social media version. Things that were posted, and it's like, wow, that sounds pretty cool. Like if I was in college and I saw that, I'd be like, I want to sign up for what that is. But that's just a social media version. If you know me, you'll quickly realize a couple of things. I love telling stories, and I love being super real about it. Because all that stuff that you've seen is just one half of the story, and sometimes people only share that. So the parts that you don't see, I have had multiple business failures. I've struggled with mental health and had episodes in depression to the points where I've wondered if life was worth living. We've had challenges within marriage. We've had in relationship issues and challenges with kids and what they grow up with. We've had infertility struggles and trying to have kids and start our own family while we're both raising careers. We faced debt, financial stress, questions about faith or personal doubt, uncertainty about the future of knowing, is this even worth it? Is this even going to work out? Like all this stuff that I'm doing, is this even going to have any sort of benefit, or is this even where I'm supposed to be? I've lost other people's money. I've had one business where I put in. I was a small investor. I put in $50,000, and another guy put in $250,000. But he put in that money based on my recommendation. That business ended up failing. It was an NIL business that was doing some really cool stuff with college athletes, and it was super fun and exciting. We got to go to the Rose Bowl and sit like right on the 50-yard line when University of Utah was playing down there. And I got to meet a lot of athletes at BYU and ended up doing things with people all around the country, but that didn't work out. And I ended up with a couple of really expensive pairs of shoes. We have struggles with weight management, pulling all-nighters or having restless nights. There's constant rejection. And another big one is making business choices that have effects on other people and their families. And that is incredibly difficult. All of these are things in entrepreneurship that you don't see very often, and people don't. They talk about it, I think, a lot more. But 10 years ago, this was not something that people talked about. They just talked about the social media version. So when you sign up for entrepreneurship, you need to know you are getting the whole package. You're getting all of this. And you need to know, eyes wide open, if this is what you're getting into, like you need to embrace it. Whether it's you, your family, like this is kind of the way that it goes. I lived a lot more of this when I was growing up. My parents were self-employed. We didn't have a whole lot growing up, but I had parents that worked really hard and worked for themselves. And we also lived on a little farm. And so I knew a lot more of this stuff growing up, and I kind of felt more drawn to entrepreneurship from an early age. My wife was very different. I think she is more of a learned entrepreneur and has developed it more over time. And she was kind of thrown into it a little bit by marrying me, and that was, I think, a little bit of a surprise. Fair to say? And she is fantastic. She is an amazing partner and a great cheerleader. And what we've been able to accomplish is, in a large part, because of her and her support and the person that she is. But you just need to know. That's my first lesson to learn here today. When you sign up for entrepreneurship, this is all that you get. Okay, so I want to play a game with you guys. And there's just a couple of rules to this game. Okay? Every student is eligible. All you guys students, everyone students here? Raise your hands. Yeah? Everyone students? Okay. Every student is eligible to play. And the winner gets $100. Okay? So this game is pretty simple. Those are the rules. So who wants $100? Everybody wants to play? It's yours. So how come you got up and took it?
I'm getting up and you got to take action.
You got to take action. Okay. What were the rules? There's 2 rules. Everyone's eligible and the winner gets $100. That's it. Now, this is entrepreneurship. A lot of times we're like in school settings, we're like, okay, we got to follow the social norms. Okay. We have to raise our hand. Totally get it. But in entrepreneurship, there are not that many rules. And sometimes you got to break social norms. Now, there are laws. Don't break laws. Please, don't break laws. We don't want anyone going to jail. No Enron situations or anything like that. Sometimes people get creative in their finances. And what's your name?
Kaylee.
Kaylee?
Yeah.
Okay. Kaylee, she didn't know. She even stood up at first and was like, ah. Was that scary? You were trying to like feel it out. Well, if I stand, is he gonna give it to me? And I was like, no, you gotta take it. The next thing is, she said it exactly. You have to take action and you have to be like not afraid to go up and do that. Now, she also helped because she was sitting towards the front of the classroom. You guys in the back, super cool back there, at a disadvantage for sure. So there's a lot of life lessons that we can learn from this. But if you are brave and you're willing to go out and do something that is a little scary, be vulnerable, there are rewards to that. It's happened so many times in my life. And there are times where I've been so scared that I was like, I'm not going to do that. But we kind of need to, right? My wife and I, we were just talking about a deal that she's working on with a contractor that's needing some design work. And he was like, hey, I'm thinking about, I need some help on my house. I'm doing my own house. I need a designer. She's like, oh, that's great. Well, tell me, what are you looking for? And I was like, did you tell him that you'll go do it? Like, she was like, oh, I didn't know if I could. And we're like, oh yeah, next time you talk to him, say, hey, I'd like to help with your house. And now she's helping out with her house. She just got a phone call on the way up and she set up time to go meet with him. And then she landed a new deal, new client, which is great. So here's what I want to do. I can take a couple approaches. We have about 30-ish minutes or so. I have things prepared that I can tell you about. I have some stuff that I've learned over the years that I can whiteboard, but I don't know you guys. And I want this to be relevant. When I was in college, I didn't like it when people were like, just go and tell war stories, but it meant like nothing to me. I am here for you guys, and I want to provide some sort of value. So I have a list of questions here that we can talk about. And if you want to go through any of this stuff, be like, yeah, I want to talk about, number 4 or 5 or 13 or whatever it is. If you don't, and this is a little bit like going after that $100. You're like, I don't know if I want to talk in front of my class. I don't know if these are things that I really want. Like, kind of scared to say some of this. That's okay. I'll go talk. I'm fine talking and sharing stories. But I'm happy to share experiences. I'm happy to teach anything that I've learned. My objective from any of this is to help you go faster and be able to make progress in whatever you want to do within your entrepreneurship journey faster than me. So, do you want me to read through any of these questions or anyone got some? Okay, we got a 3 over here. Do you have one? Number 4 and 14. Okay, can you help me keep track of these two? We'll just start. Okay, we got 3. What are things you can be doing right now to be successful in the future? Okay, so there are skill sets that you can gain, and then there's preparation for whenever opportunity comes. Okay, Both of those things are important, and you're not always going to be prepared for when that happens. But right now, there are certain skills that you can develop.
How do you know what skills?
So that is a great question. How do you know what skills to develop? Do you know at all, like, what kind of area you'd be interested in doing entrepreneurship? Not really? Okay, so then if that's the case, then you want to develop more general skills. One of them, there's three general skills that you should learn that are going to translate to any form of entrepreneurship and any market. Number one is sales. And it's not about like being like, hey, I'm going to go out and be like really good at sales. It's not necessarily about that. It's about being able to talk to a customer, understand what their need is, and being able to keep them engaged, and being able to persuade them to some sort of a solution that you have. A lot of times people will say like, oh man, that one person is just a natural salesman. My aunt, she said this to me. She was like, you're going to be successful because you can sell ice to an Eskimo. And I was like, that sounds horrible. Like, I do not want to go sell something that is absolutely pointless to another person just because I can. Now, I get it, what they're trying to say, and it's a compliment. But to me, I'm like, that's not what's really important. What I want to go is go find out whoever that person is and being able to identify the needs that they have and come with a solution that's going to help solve their need. So that's one pretty general skill. Identify a customer, understand what they need, and being able to carry on a conversation, engage with them, and being able to persuade them to a solution that will add value to their life. Number two is finances. What I was in an accounting class when I was in my undergrad, and I was not great at accounting. This was like my first accounting. It was like 201 or something. I was a sophomore in college, and I was getting like a C in the class because that's what I needed to pass. And and there was one assignment that I like didn't even do, and my teacher was like, "Hey, why didn't you do that assignment?" And I said, "I think this is about word for word. I'm going to hire somebody to do this for me." And that was like such an idiotic thing to say, but I was like, I am not worried about this. I don't need to learn finance. But when you're starting out with entrepreneurship, and anytime you're a CEO, you have to have understanding of financials, and you have to be able to read financial statements. You have to be able to contribute to it. I ended up switching my major to finance because I needed more reps in that. I was behind, and I knew that in order for me to learn this, I had to get more practice. So finance is the third skill, or second skill. The third skill is going to be people management. Now, ways that you can do that right now: get involved with activities, get involved with clubs, start some sort of a small side hustle thing that you're doing right now, and get people here. It's not like that and be like, hey, we're going to get 3 people together and we're going to go try to solve a problem for people. We don't even know if it's going to work, but you know what? We got 3 people, let's go try something. Mark Zuckerberg did this and it turned into Facebook. That's pretty unrealistic. It might just be a club that people end up getting together, but you're learning how to work with people, and you're learning how to take tasks and manage it with people. So it's not so much about being in charge of everyone, but it's more about being in charge of something within a group and being able to manage that to completion. So those are 3 skills that I think to be general that you should learn. If you know kind of what area you want to get at, start finding ways to work in it right now. Be willing to start off at ground zero on the floor. Just get your foot in the door and start learning from people that are already doing it and finding ways in your mind that you can do it better. Does that help? Okay, great. Number 4?
Yeah.
Okay, opportunities right in business right now. Okay, so this concept is catching a wave. Anyone ever surfed before, or at least seen surfing? Got some in the back. Okay, surfing, you have a lot of momentum coming from the ocean, and what you're doing is just trying to get on the right time and have that push you, and then you get to enjoy the ride. So catching a wave, there's waves that will happen within time that are in the market, and if you're able to catch them, there's a lot of momentum behind it. It will increase your likelihood of success within an area that's new. So if you want to go out and start a company that does microwaves, like that's not really a craze right now. There's not like a huge demand for like microwave innovation or like selling microwaves in homes. Like you can find them anywhere. So that's not any sort of wave that's happening. AI is a huge wave happening right now. There's a lot of momentum behind it. So if I was in college right now, I would become really familiar with AI, not for classwork, right? Don't use AI for classwork.
Yeah, unless it's allowed.
Unless it's allowed. Okay. But use AI for other things that you're doing, like discover what it can do, what its capabilities are, and then go find ways that are like kind of antiquated or older like processes that people use and find ways that AI can speed that up. That is a huge opportunity right now. There are people that are like, I know how to do this, especially in service industries. I know how to do this thing, and I can go out and figure out how, to do this, but it can have a lot of manual steps. If you know what that process is and you can take AI to cut that time in half, it's a competitive advantage. This will help you to either get hired someplace or to start your own service company. So if I was in your situation, like in your age, that's what I would do. I'd go find services that are older. I would find ways, I would be familiar with AI, and I'd find ways that I could help make that service more efficient by using AI. And as being younger kids, you're gonna have an advantage because you can embrace that technology faster than other people. So, does that help?
Yeah.
Okay. Other one, number 14, how do I work with my spouse or partner to be an entrepreneur? I might need your help on this one. Do you want to take a stab at first? Because this was like a process for us to learn. And I'll share some early stories, but why don't you go ahead and take a try?
Okay, so one of the things that I really love is that if you are an entrepreneur or you're wanting to be an entrepreneur now, then as you are dating, that is something that you guys can talk about. Be like, I want to own a business. I want to run my own thing. That actually helps quite a bit because that is an expectation that you can have with each other. Now, we have done so many things together throughout the years, and some of them were really great, and some of them were some of the hardest things we've done. And so it's not just like this dream, oh, this is amazing. We are very capable people, so we'll work together. Awesome. That doesn't always work out. But some of our best moments have been when we lean on each other's greatest gifts and when we look at assessing what we're really good at and how we can help the other person with what they need. Now, before I went back to school to get my master's, I was a graphic designer. And so that we designed apps together and we did a lot of websites. We did I did a ton of rebranding. And so when he needed a business branded, it was easy to be like, oh, I'm going to do that for you. I'll help out. We don't always work together the best when we're in the exact same business.
Oh man, come to your wife like the night before and say, hey, I need something that's done for like some presentation tomorrow. That's not a good approach. So that's not how you work with your spouse. She's bailed me out a few times, but it was not great. It wasn't good.
So one of the biggest strengths, though, I think when you talk about working with your spouse or partner into entrepreneurship is knowing that they're not just there like to pick you up when you fall. That is one of their jobs, but they're there to be able to be your biggest cheerleader, and they're also there to be respected for what they can offer to you. And so when you have those three things together, you guys can be a powerhouse. Now, there'll always be questions within what area you're working on, but that is kind of what I think. I don't know.
That is great. That is really good. Okay, so I'll share a couple stories to illustrate this. So when we were in our undergrad, well, I'll share one. This is one of my, kind of leading up to it. I was working at a call center, and like I grew up as like kind of a blue collar worker in a kind of blue collar family. And so I was so excited when I got my first desk job. I was working at a call center, and I told everyone that I worked at a marketing company doing like phone sales. And I really thought that that's what it was. But I was like picking up the phone, selling like credit repair services or something. And I was like, after a while, I was like, this sucks. Like, I hate picking up the phone and trying to sell somebody something they don't want. So I was sitting back thinking, what is something that I could do, like where I would call somebody and they would enjoy, like just be ecstatic to talk to me on the phone? And this is kind of the way my mind in entrepreneurship would work. I was always trying to find opportunities. So even when I was in a situation that was like, this sucks, I was like, how can I make this better? And so I said, like, what are people excited to talk to people? And I was like, kids love talking to Santa Claus. Like, they just love it. They're so excited. So I was like, and this was like 20 years ago. So like websites were like brand new. And I was like, I'm going to go sell phone calls from Santa Claus. That's what I'm going to do. So I was like, I'm going to go start a business. And so I started one out and I was like, I'm going to take my money. I got access to student loans. Like, I'm going to make so much money on this thing. And so I started in the first year. I was out just hustling. I was like going up to the Santa Claus booths in the mall. And I was like, had these really nice flyers that I had made. And I was like, hey, I just wanted to let you know, this is one of the things that we're doing now. You guys got to hand these out to every kid that comes in and give them a flyer. It's just something that we're doing here now. And I was like pretending to be like part of corporate or something. And I had like no connection I got kicked out of a couple malls by security because they're like, who are you? What are you doing? But I was like just trying to get them to like pass stuff out. But it was like so exhilarating that someone came to my website that I never met and they put money into a shopping cart and it came into my bank account. And I was like floored. I was like, I can't believe this worked. Now, I did not make that much money the first year. I didn't make as much money as I thought, but as I hoped. But for the next year, I was like, I'm doubling down. This is when I was like, I'm taking out a student loan. I'm like enhancing all my marketing. And I changed the pricing to go down because I wanted a higher volume, right? Supply and demand. I was like, if I can get more demand and there's more people that are out there, I can like make that cross match a little bit better. And I was like, and I'm going to make more money on this. Well, at that time, shopping carts and websites are two totally different services. So my website was all changed, but I never tested my shopping cart and did not make the changes through my shopping cart. And so everyone would go to my website and it was $10, it was $10. And then they'd go to the shopping cart and it would charge them $20. And so nobody bought it. And I was like so devastated. And I didn't find out until like after the season. And I was like, how come no one's doing this? And I was just so devastated. So I ended up taking about $10,000 in like loans from money to help pay for school that instead of working, I was working on this and then to help build out the website and all this stuff. And I had like nothing to show for it at that point. So then my wife and I got married and she was like, we're talking about finance. She's like, well, you have debt. Like, what's your student debt for? You're working all the time. I was like, well, did this business and here's what happened. And I learned a lot from it. She was like, great. I just inherited like $10,000 of debt from your failed business. So when we got married, our first summer that we got married, there was a 7-week break in between from when we came back from our honeymoon trip into when school was going to start again. And I said, this is not enough time to go get a job, but I have an idea and I want to start a business in like 6 weeks. And she was like, oh my gosh, if this becomes a thing, you just keep going to lose more money and you just don't do you actually want to work? Do you really want to have a job? And I was like, no, actually I don't. I want to go make money. But she was like, look, I trust you. And she put a lot of faith in me for this. And so what happened was I was selling advertising from the school newspaper. And so I saw that there was a need. There was these people that wanted to advertise on campus, but there was like some regulation. So I said, well, I'm going to go make my own book for advertising these companies. And I'm going to go take it directly to students and do my own distribution. And it's going to be like a date book. Now, this is before people had smartphones. You guys probably don't even know what that is. Like, I've never felt like so old like this before, I guess. But no one had smartphones. You couldn't just pull up Google and be like, what's something fun to do? And so I had this book of like activities and dates and like just things that people could go do, and they could just thumb through the book. And then there was a section where they could have coupons and stuff. And I gave it away to all the students for free. But I told my wife, I said, I'm going to take $50 in 1 week to go prove out if this concept can work. And so she helped me design like a fake book, like a prototype book. and I used $50 to help print out a book and make it show what it would look like, and then go out and try to, get some contacts. And I just started selling this prototype. And I was like, here's advertising space. I'm printing off like 5,000 of these, and I'm going to go give it away to all the students for free. And you're going to be in front of all the students that are on campus, and you don't even have to worry about any regulation from the school newspaper. And I knew what all the pricing was, and I already had a bunch of contacts. And in my first week, I started selling, and I was like, okay, this has enough legs. Like, I'm doing this for the whole rest of the 6-7 weeks that we were doing. And I ended up selling about $5,000 of advertising on this prototype. And so then I had all the money, and I got them to pay me 50% up front, and I took all that money to go buy to go print the books, and I spent a couple $1,000s on printing, and I ended up making about $4,000, something like that, in like this short period of time. And I didn't have to go work for someone. Like, it was cool. And so my lesson from that on how do I work with my spouse or a partner, we talked about how you work like inside a company. For me, it was about trying to help keep them involved through the whole process and trying to find ways to have some early wins that could help build confidence. And so having that, being along that process helped build confidence. I think helped build trust, so that she kind of knew. And I was trying to take small bets because it is really risky. So I was trying to take small bets. Anyway, that actually might be a little bit of a different answer than like working direct. I think my wife answered it better about working actually together in a business. I talked more about working with a spouse to get started. Did that help? Was that answer it? Okay. Where are we at with time? Still got some more time. I'm telling you, I like telling stories, man. I can do this all day. Any other questions? Yeah. Number 7. What is number 7? How do you find investors? What do investors look for? Okay. So investors, there's 2 types of investors. I'm going to whiteboard on this one because I like to draw. I have bad handwriting, but okay. 2 types of investors. There's cash investors, and there is exit investors. So any type, when you talk about investors, they want to harvest. Now, investors are pretty cut and dry. Money in, money out. Sometimes it's to get a cool story, but that's like secondary. That's not going to sell like in an investment. But it can play an important part, because sometimes these people are like, I got a lot of money, and I want to do something with it, and I want it to grow. And so they'll try to figure out, are they going to get cash, or are they going to get a big exit or a buyout at the end? But they also want something that's compelling that they can like help share. Like that is something that's kind of exciting to people. But this is what they want. Money that goes in, how am I going to get it back? Am I going to get a little bit over time, or am I going to put it in and wait for a big exit at the end? Does that make sense? Okay, so how does cash flow look? This is a lot with like a service company, franchising. This can be buying a cash flowing business. This is important, right? A big exit at the end is something that is more like has a much bigger like dip to it. And so you know that you're putting a lot of money in, but you're trying to see like hockey stick type of growth and like something that's really scalable. And so they know that if they put in $100,000 here, so 100K right here, or this one is 100K right here, then with this one, they're going to want to see you bringing back like 50K per year as a return. And then this one, they're going to say no for like 5 years. And then they're going to want to see something that's like 100x coming back. So they're going to want to see like a $10 million after 5 years as part of their exit. This is a big bet. This one's steady, more cash flow. Those are the 2 kind of methods for investing. Following that so far? Does that make sense? Okay, so how do Do I find investors? So whatever business that you're raising, it's important to understand these concepts because the investors think very differently. And then you're going to want to go find these people separately, right? Or you're going to find them differently. So if you're looking for this kind of a business, and this is what I would say is something that that is a little bit easier to raise money on, you're looking for the 3 F's, okay? Anybody know what the 3 F's are? Friends, family, and fools. Those are the 3 people that you're looking for, okay? Obviously, fools is a joke, but these are people that are willing to take a bet earlier on, but it's people that you know that you have a good relationship with, might have a relationship with the school. And what you're saying is, I can get this business and I have a plan that it's going to generate profits very easily. We're going to run it really efficiently, and we're going to share that cash flow out with other people. One of the things that will help these people is to have something called a pref on the distributions. So preferred distributions that come out, and you say, hey, you're going to put in $100,000. Out of this business, the first $100,000 that come in profit, you're actually going to get that back. I'm going to give it to you first to help mitigate your risk. And if you do that, then after that, then the return shifts to 90% of the profits to me and 10% of the profits to you in perpetuity. But I'm willing to help cover your risk, and I'm willing to give you some upside. And so you can structure a deal that way that will help them. But these are people that you typically would have relationships with. And if you feel like, I don't have a network of people that have a lot of money, then go start working for people in the best way that you can to help establish trust and start to get to know them. But that's how you want to find people like this. Those are the types of people you want to find, how you can establish trust with them, and how you want to pitch them. Now, this is much harder to do right now. It comes in waves if you're looking for VCs and angels. So angels and VCs. Are you guys familiar with those terms? Yeah, venture capitalist is a VC. An angel investor is kind of like that, but what they're doing is it's more of an individual. So this might be someone that's already had an exit, and they're like, okay, I have $1 million here, and so I'm going to go place it out on a couple of different bets. And there's seed round. So sometimes $100,000 is actually a really low amount of money to raise. Sometimes people are writing bigger checks, $1 million checks. And what they're doing is they're saying, I'm trying to bet on something big happening, in the future. So there's a lot of institutions that exist on this. There's some networks. There's actually a lot of angel networks that are here in Utah where you can go in and pitch for them and say, this is what my business is. But just know that this whole game, they will not look at you if you're trying to be modest. If you're like, oh, yeah, give me, $100,000 and I'm just going to be really conservative. So my business is going to grow and I'll make $100,000 back in 3 years. They're like, no, I'm not going to do that. They know that 1 out of 10 of their investments here will work, and they want that investment to be a 50x or 100x to make up for all the other ones that have failed. That's their mentality. Placing bets and just playing the numbers game and just knowing one of those 10 need to work out, and it just needs to be a higher return than everyone else. Okay. Does that help? Does that answer number 14?
Yes, I'm also wondering though, if your company
Or-
stock share.
Does our company have stock? So the way that I do any of my businesses are either with shares or with units, which is like stock. And yes, we have people that have multiple owners within a business, and we can share those. But it's not like a public stock out there where anyone can come and buy in. It's people can put investment in, and then they can own a certain percentage or own units inside the company. But that's how we structure it. Okay, and that was number 7, right? Not 14. Okay, yeah.
I want to go with number
Number 10.
Yeah, and also that's the way you mentioned something about AI and how we plan to start. With that, do you believe, like, adding to that question, do you believe, like, right now we can do most of the things for ourselves with the powerful that can be the AI, when we just, like, create a, with the AI could be already powerful.
Yeah, so AI, specifically building like virtual agents that can work for you or like bots that can go and do processes with you is a great way to help build out a team to help supplement things that you're doing. I would say that when you're trying to start something out, it's you want to stay as lean as possible. And so if you want to build a team, it's if there's a skill set that's really important that you don't have. And I would say, then yes, bring somebody on to help partner with you. AI is good at like helping to do work, but they can't like own a part of the business. You know, they can't make really important decisions or like, you know, help sell something. So if you're like, well, I'm really good with like finance and with operations, like I'm really good at, or a skill that I can go out and sell, but I'm not good at actually selling it, then you want to find someone that can help partner with you because they can go out and have those conversations with customers, and then you're working on delivering the service. Now, AI will help you with like the background stuff of like helping to make that service more efficient, but they're not going to be able to take over an entire skill set like that. Does that make sense? And AI is making a lot of progress, but AI is probably like, can do like 80% of most work. And then it requires humans to help with that other, 20%. Maybe AI can do 90% of something and humans need to do the rest of the 10. But, AI is progressing super fast, but that's kind of where it needs some human interaction. Okay. Sorry, I was short on that. I was long on the other ones. We're coming up to an end. Do I get time for one?
We've got time for one more question. There's one more.
Yeah.
I have a question on slide.
Okay. How do I know if something is a good idea or if it would fail? That is I love this one. So I love that you guys have lean canvas up here because anything that's with lean is about knowing like I am probably wrong, but I am going to go find the cheapest way for me to figure out what is right and what of my assumptions are working or what needs to be changed. So to me, in my entrepreneurship career, I think that when people get right early on, it's just that they're really lucky. The people that have a process in place for going through ideas really quickly and getting customer feedback is what makes it less risky and more predictable. So how do you know if something's a good idea or not? You build something and go take it to customers and see what their feedback is as fast as possible. Maybe it's a brochure that you can print for $50 and then go try to sell a bunch of times. Maybe it's a simple version of an app. When we were doing a lot of app stuff, my wife and I, we would have she would help build out prototypes, and we'd build out prototypes of apps before I would go spend money to actually have it developed. And I try to get feedback from people as quickly as possible and say, do customers like this? And then the biggest way to help validate an idea is to ask somebody if they will pay you for it. And if you say, I have this thing, will you pay me for it if I build it? And if they say yes, then you know you're on the right track and that you have a good idea. If they say, oh no, that's a really good idea, I think that you should build it. And you're like, okay, cool, would you give me money? No, probably not. Then they're just not telling you the truth. They're trying to be supportive, but that's kind of detrimental.
Can I jump in on this one too? Okay. On number 5, knowing if something is a good idea or not, or if it will fail, this is when ideas cannot become your babies. Like you're going to be like, oh, I love this idea. And I like, my whole heart says this is right. And I've gone through this whole experience and I think I can do it. But when you're asking someone to pay for it, and if someone says no, and inside you're all of a sudden like, oh, I think they're wrong, I'm just going to keep doing it. Then that's when you realize your business is now your baby and you can't let it go. But if you can look at everything objectively and think about it as more of a factual thing that can benefit your life, then that's when you know you've made it and to a different level as an entrepreneur, because not everything is personal and not everything is about you. And if it cannot be about you, then you can progress faster in the world where you can assess the information you're receiving than if everything is personal. So as long as you can take that out of it, then your ideas you'll go through a lot faster. And use that AI. Talk to AI like a third person, ask it questions, be like, if I were this person, how would I look at this idea, and what would this person say about it? Like, there are lots of ways of assessing through friends that you know, teachers that you have, your network that you have, AI access. All those things can help you assess different ideas. But if you can take it factually, then that will launch you faster.
That was great.
I think that's probably our time.
Okay.
Just say, final thought, final comment.
Go do it. I mean, I love that they call this the grit center. Like, that's a real thing. It takes a lot of grit. You guys have a bright future. Carter Furniture is over here, just down past the music building, and we're trying to build a pretty cool business out here in San Pete County. And I'm new to learning about San Pete County, but it's a great place. So if you guys know of anyone that wants to learn how to build furniture, we are hiring for an entry-level person that's familiar with how CNC machines work. And so anyone here, or if you know someone that's interested, it can be a fun place to go work. That's it.
Thank you so much.